Hello everyone, welcome to Let's Talk Tobago. I'm Amadara Mills. In this week's episode, we're doing things a little different. We're coming to you from the Center of Excellence, Macoya, Trinidad, at the Trade and Investment Convention, TIC 2022. So join us as we bring you all the highlights of Tobago's participation at this 3-day business expo. Besides the actual convention, Tobago had a significant role to play in the opening ceremony. The Chief Secretary, Honorable Fali Augustine, was also present. Take a look.
Stop your phone, Mr. Fiddler. Oh, hi. All good things must come to an end. But this not where the story close, but where it been. Are we resolute that Tobago ready for invest and connect? All the sectors that been dormant, are we resurrect? The non-traditional fractions of the economy have proven to be of good importance. That is why we have pushed them to be in a place of sustainable resonance. That is what AWE is all about. Sustainability, direct investment, and trade. Because we products and services don't exceed the passing grade. But let me not keep all here no longer. Just find a Tobago booth and discuss how you could partner. So on your mark, ready, get set, go! Immerse yourself and invest in a Tobago. Track your bow, Mr. Fiddler.
TIC is a catalyst that generates business opportunities, especially for firms in the non-energy business community of TNT. This year, the convention will be celebrating its 23rd year as the region's largest business-to-business event. Significantly, it will be the first physical TIC being held in 2 years, and the fitting theme is Business Resilience. The event represents an assembly and celebration of participants who have demonstrated flexibility, dynamism, and resilience in business.
TIC, the Trade and Investment Convention that we have every single year, barring COVID, provides opportunities through which businesses, local, regionally, and foreign businesses, can actually collaborate with each other, share knowledge, and partner with each other. That's the biggest opportunity coming out of TIC that you should not miss this time around. For us in Tobago, we wanted to show up this year, just like every other year, but we wanted to show up in an even bigger presence this year. And so I am proud to say that Tobago, as a singular unit, will be managing the single largest block within the convention space. And that's because we were purposeful in saying this is an investment that we wish to make for our small and micro enterprises on the island of Tobago. We have also recognized that we have to look beyond the usual things we seek to trade and begin to look at, for example, the creative sector And I'm sure you observe the dancers, the speech band members. They are part of what Tobago wishes to offer to the world and that Tobago wishes to monetize. And we hear all this fancy talk about the orange economy, but we have to invest more in the creatives in order to earn from them.
The Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association must be commended for developing this invaluable platform which brings together manufacturers, service providers, buyers, distributors, financial institutions, investors and regulatory agencies. Your success has positioned the Trade and Investment Convention as the Caribbean's premier business-to-business trade show. This year's theme, Business Resilience, is quite appropriate. Resilience is key to not only recovering but doing so quickly, but also to maintaining the flexibility and perseverance to thrive and developing the capacity to expand and adapt to disruptions and threats that will come in some shape or another in the future.
Lend me a part to play, Joe, bring it. Lend me a part to play, la boy. Joe, bring it, lend me a part. Hey, Joe, bring it, lend me a part to play. I said, lend me a part to play, sing la boy. Yes, mom. Joe, bring it, lend me a part to play. Joe, bring it, lend me a part to play, la boy.
Can you give us an idea in terms of probably the number of exhibitors, the number of visitors that an event like TIC could possibly have or has had over the years?
The last time it was physically done, they had on average over 17,000 visitors to the exhibition. So it's pretty big. This year, for example, there are about over 30 countries represented at this TIC, of which Tobago is a part.
And that means, Tobago being a part is a lot of potential for our businesses and, various business deals and so.
Yes.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on the objectives, the benefits for the Tobago contingent that's down at TIC?
Right. So specific to this year, our Chief Secretary has the vision of putting Tobago out there. So we are under a theme of connecting, investing and activating investment in the Tobago economy specifically. With that in mind, we have some of the larger entities displaying at TIC this year, including Studley Park. You have the Tobago Performing Arts Company, which brings a different dimension to the whole TIC experience. You also have TADCO, which is the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company that incorporates a whole lot of different Tobago products and brings some of the smaller producers, the products of the smaller producers, under the TADCO brand. So where we are focusing on providing alternatives where food security is concerned, it positions TADCO to be able to take advantage of that. You also have, well, I mentioned Studley Park already, you have the Shore Park Complex, you have the Tobago Information Technology Limited, where they have already started engaging the Trinidad markets with some of their products. You have the medical life alert device that they can use. They also have different technology products that can not only compete, but really establish Tobago as a possibility for the BPO market. And we also interact with InvestTT, and they will tell you that the BPO market, business process outsourcing, the call centers, and we know 211 is famous. That is one of the hottest areas in investments in the whole regional investment push right now. So we have a mix of that, and we also have the SMEs who have come to TIC over the years and have gained, where you now have entities receiving contracts regionally like Tobago Media Concepts. They have engaged regionally over the years as a result of being at TIC. You have persons like Keston Pope from Savor the Isle Punches, who now has his products in extra food supermarkets and some of the larger chains. You have JMac Industries, who does the support brand label. They have also been part of the Trinidad markets in a big way, and now we are looking for regional distribution contracts for them. So there's a lot of activity that will happen as a result of TIC. We've been here, this is the second day of TIC, and already we have results that we're going to look to cement that you will hear in the Tobago space about some of the successes that these young people are having. We also have the Tom Tom's local confectionery, and I know everybody knows that Tobago is famous where sweets are concerned. Now we have the sweets packaged in such a way through a collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and the Export Booster Initiative that Tom Tom's has been able to benefit, change their packaging, change their formulation, come up with the recipes and stuff, that now these sweets, these Tobago sweets, can go out to the international markets and still be fresh, relevant, and able for months on end. So the possibilities are endless, the potential is there, and we look forward to taking advantage of it.
Well, thank you very much, Tricia, for giving us that wonderful overview of TIC, as well as, the benefits that it has for Tobago. So we're now going to take a look and, interview some of the businesses that are present in the Invest Tobago booth. So come along with us. How do you feel, Cassie, about being able to showcase, your pieces here at TIC?
Well, I must say it's a very good opportunity, and when you get an opportunity, you grasp at it. It's all about being exposed, the exposure.
And could you tell us, in general, would you have gone and visited any of the booths here at Invest Tobago?
I started visiting, yes, and there's more to explore, I must say.
Now, from what you would have seen here, what do you think about the presentations and the Tobago businesses and services that are participating at TIC?
Actually, I am impressed. I already bought some stuff that I started eating already, and I have some in my bag to continue eating. So it's good, good.
Well, I hope you will try the fudge from Tom Tom's local confectionery. I hear that is a very, a #1 seller for that business.
Well, actually, I bought the Tambran, and it's on point.
Yeah, all right, so that's great to hear. Our local, entrepreneurs, whether it's clothing design, whether it's culture, whether it's our goods and services, we are here and, telling Trinidad that come invest in Tobago. Idea, you've been here before. Tell us how many times you've been to TIC and what has the experience like, for you in the past.
To be quite honest, I cannot remember if it's 3 or 4 times I've been here already, but I've been here quite a bit. And it's always an amazing opportunity for the exposure, to get brand recognition. And coming out of this, I normally get like a lot of person who would be interested in wholesaling the products and stuff like that. So it really is a good experience.
We have laundry detergent, we have multi-purpose cleaner, we have 2 fragrances in the multi-purpose cleaner, we have lavender, we also have a car wash, we have hand soap, and we have dishwashing liquid, all made in Orange Hill Trace in Tobago.
Okay, so coming directly from Tobago, that's really great. Tell us, is this your first time here at TIC, and what has your experience been like so far?
Oh yes, this is definitely my first time, because my boss, which is Mr. Edward Jones, he was actually here in 2019, and it's been phenomenal. I'm really, really excited, and I'm so glad that we're able to actually market our product here. So we're grateful that we're here again at TIC.
And do you have any expectations? I know this is just, the second day. Any expectations, from yesterday, your experience yesterday going into tomorrow, that kind of thing?
Oh yes, I'm actually looking forward to more customers, and the idea that we're actually getting business owners coming and asking about wholesaling and stuff. So my aim and my expectations is actually to get our product into Trinidad, into all the different markets, supermarkets, drugstores and so forth.
Well, for me personally, I have turned into a seasoned trade and investment convention participant, and as an exhibitor over the past 4 years, because this is our fourth time. Over the past 4 years, we have been so successful. Each time we get here, there are specific clients that continuously come looking for us to give them or provide them a certain type of service that they couldn't get from some of the other service providers in Trinidad and more so in Tobago. This year for sure, what we did, because of the strategies that we use to get the type of clients that we're looking for in this convention, as early as yesterday morning, within the first hour and a half, we were successful. And this is the type of not just It's not just a money-making event, but it's a developmental event for me as an individual and for the company Tobago Media Concepts.
It has been awesome. As the first time out, it has been awesome. To tell you the truth, I can pack up and go. Because the reason why I say that is that the type of networking that I was able to establish at this event have been really awesome. The support given by the chief secretary as well as the large company owners that are present here have made it a really success.
TIC has opened up a lot of opportunities and market, not just in Trinidad but outside Trinidad. So for example, this year, due to the COVID, one of our main purpose being here is to actually reconnect with our existing suppliers, existing customers, and also look at other potential market outside of Trinidad. So far since we here up to the boat was a business owner from Barbados who had interest in our product. So they came right knowing what they're going for, looking for, and there is something for me to continue after the event.
This is our first time at TIC. It's excellent. We are able to meet people like Miss Minister Gopi Schoon. That was an excellent opportunity for me. We wish to expand the customer base to other businesses in Trinidad, and for now that's going excellent.
Can I ask, in terms of the visitor response to this booth here, tell us how has that been like?
Magnificent, unbelievable, mind-blowing. Some of the customers from yesterday already came back today.
Mr. Prince, any final words on the expectations you experience here at TIC so far?
Well, the breakthrough that we are looking for is most of the groceries, like Massey and the other big stores in Trinidad, that they will be here and they will be able to share the experience with us and even taste our product and realize that we are the best. As I said before, strictly the best. Our packaging just gives us a notch above the rest.
So we have here with us Mr. Kevon McKenna. He's the Deputy Chairman of the Tobago October Carnival Committee, but you also were able to view the booths that many Tobago businesses as well as some state agencies have here today. What are your thoughts on our presentation so far?
I'm quite impressed. I had the opportunity to sneak a piece of cassava cake from Tadco. You have to try it, guys. The cake lashing. I also sampled the coffee rum cream from Savor Isle. That was really impressive. So those two items, I think I'm sold on those.
Absolutely promising. It's wonderful. My favorite booth, of course, is this one with the flowers because they make the mix. The cake is divine and the korma is great. And then we had the natural beet and cassava korma there. I met with the guys selling the wines. I mean, it's incredible. I didn't realize all this is in Tobago. And I checked out the handbags from Osani. The quality is so amazing. That belongs on Fifth Avenue. It's so great. The colors, the material, lovely, lovely. I'm very impressed. And we go to Tobago for the island pool and for Sorbet and Pigeon Point, but this is why people should be in Tobago too. All these wonderful products. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Tell us, you just walked through the booth with your daughter. Tell us, what are your thoughts on, the Tobago presentation?
I was so proud of my Tobago booth, the booths here. And the funny thing, yes, I'm in Tobago, but coming here, it gives me a totally different perspective in terms of what it is we have to offer on the island. And we have a lot to offer, and it's so varied. The artisans here, as well as the technology, as well as the culture. I think this will be a very busy booth.
For me, it was very surprising. I think that it's a good insight for Tobago to actually have a presence here at the TIC. I think it's very well put together. I really enjoyed it. I think it's very colorful, and I can see the engagement and I can see the excitement here. And I think that it will do well.
That Tobago has been very innovative and very proactive in using a lot of locally produced, grown and manufacturers as well. And it's a big showcase for Tobago because it's just more than the traditional Benny balls and the tulum and the whatever. You have the dashing cereal and the the pumpkin or waffle mixes and the beetroot korma and what have you. And I mean, it actually shows the sort of innovative people we have within our islands.
Besides the Tobago-based businesses which have been supported by the THA, there were several state agencies. They include the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, the Studley Park Enterprise Limited, the Tobago Information Technology Limited, the Tobago Festivals Commission, the Tobago Performing Arts Company, and the Shore Park Complex.
The Tobago Information Technology Limited, it's a special purpose organization under the Department of Education. Our main focus is service, right? So what we normally do there, we do business process outsourcing, where we provide service, whatever service it is that any organization would like to have. We are in a position to provide that to them. We are here to advertise or put our business out there so persons may now be aware of the services provided by our organization and how best we can assist them in improving, because our mandate is improving ICT technology in Tobago, but not just limiting it to Tobago but to the region.
And can you give us an idea of the products and services offered by TADCO?
So TADCO recently launched its line of organic gluten-free products. We have about 8 products that we have on display, which includes waffle mixes, pancake mix, fruit cake, kurma, and many other value-added items derived from alternative flour from our root crops such as dasheen, sweet potato, and stuff like that, cassava and so on.
What has the customer response been like to the products, that's offered by TADCO? Because I knew a lot of customers, a lot of buyers and so were passing through at the TADCO booth.
Well, today, not only customers were interested, but also investors and distributors. So we had a really overwhelming reception. Persons are very interested in all our products, and particularly they like that it's basically eco-friendly and healthy.
What I was very impressed with is the display that you all have here, which is really, really impressive in terms of all the displays here at the Tobago booth in West Tobago. So can you tell us a little bit about how you all would have decided to do this display?
Well, what we wanted to have done is that we wanted to have a little piece of the quarry here at TIC, right? So essentially, we created one of our major plants that we process the material through the process of crushing, right? So what you see here are the various sizes of the material, the end product, or the end product of each of the materials that is sold to the customer in Tobago.
Can you give us, in terms of the response from those who are the visitors to the booths, what has the foot traffic been like for the Studley Park Enterprise Limited?
It's been busy. It's been very, very, very busy, right? We have a lot of offers. We are networking with many of our existing suppliers, and we are inviting new customers into the game of Studley Park, right? We want to make Studley Park the most productive entity in Tobago for revenue, for foreign exchange revenue, especially because, as you should know, we have our Barbados Bay jetty facility that we utilize for export, right? And we are drumming up a lot of clientele here at TIC. It's working for us. We are happy to be here.
And can you tell us, in terms of the Tobago Tourism Agency coming to TIC, why is this important?
It's been very important for us to reach out to the Trinidad people, and it's been amazing. We've had very busy stand. They're very interested in Tobago. They're very interested in the carnival. Look at the display here. I think we've been the busiest part of the show. Every time I've gone to look around, our stand has been busiest.
Now, the Tobago Festivals Commission is one of the state companies that's down at TIC. Tell us, what the significance of this for the Festivals Commission.
So cultural expression is very important to Tobago. It's one of the things that Tobago is known for, and Tobago is currently, we wanted Tobago to be known as the greatest little island in the world, actually. And basically what we want to do is market the destination as a cultural destination. We have so many cultural events and activities that people could come and take part in and come and look at and actually learn about the culture and learn about the indigenous events in Tobago. And it's important for sponsors and partners to get involved with that, because they would also be the ones to elevate the culture and to also allow persons around the world, around the globe, to learn about the Tobago Festivals Commission and also learn about the island of Tobago.
What are the services provided by the Shore Park Complex?
Well, the Shore Park Complex is the mecca of all performing arts and events for the island of Tobago, and actually the largest venue in the Caribbean. And we host a series of conferences, meetings, training, and of course concerts and events. Shore Park being here is very significant for us because it gives us an opportunity to diversify our clientele, widen our base, and start to now put Shore Park on the map internationally, locally, as in Trinidad, and even more regionally. We want to be able to now bring more foreign exchange to Tobago by booking the facility and getting more foreign clientele coming to the island that will boost the tourism product as well.
Right. And today, we had a lot of foot traffic in the Tobago space here. Tell us, what has it been like for the visitors to the Shore Park Complex booth?
Well, we have actually gotten bookings. Actually, we walked away today only with 10 bookings thus far. So I think we have already started making some heavy headway in terms of putting the space out there and getting people interested in this space, and I think we did well today.
Right. And Mrs. Charles Pantin, what are your thoughts on the Tobago-based businesses that you've interacted with? Because I saw you were talking with Osani Designs. What's your experience been like?
Okay, well, people who know me know I love scents. Right? People who know me, they know I love to buy natural soaps, wax candles. So I easily gravitated to Osani at first. Right? And I'm impressed by the quality products that Osani has. But I must mention the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company, which is a company that falls under my division. I am so pleased with the presentation of the products coming out from the local agro-processors. And I want to Begonians to come out in Tobago. We have them in the groceries, right? Come out, sample the products, not sample, buy the products, support your products. I am doing it, and I enjoy every single product coming out of TADCO. And so far, we are representing Tobago in a big way, right? We're going across the region. We're about to embark on so many initiatives, including exporting flowers in the ton, different flowers in the ton. So come out and just be an ambassador for Tobago.
Tobago has, by comparison, when you look around this space, Tobago has much better products, much better packaging, higher quality than many others. What we ought to do now is to spend some time finding source markets, helping the producers move their products from where they are now all the way to end users beyond the Tobago space, which means that the THA has to spend some of its resources on fine-tuning the supply chain for these SMEs and just getting them in markets outside of the Tobago space. It's about ensuring that Tobago's development can be driven internally by the income we earn of ourselves outside of what we get through the channel with the central government. That we are entitled to, the 4.03% to the 6.9%. But outside of that, if Tobago's development has to be driven in a real way, in a substantial way, what has to absolutely happen is that we have to push our state companies, 211 included, to become much more profitable. That will reduce the amount of subventions the THA have to give to them, but in reverse, they can earn monies that can now go back into capital development for Tobago.
That's it for this special edition of Let's Talk Tobago. Thanks for staying with us as we brought you the Tobago aspect of this year's TIC happenings. As usual, you can email us with your comments or queries about the program. Visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Amadara Mills, wishing you a very safe and productive week.
with a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning. It is Monday, the 5th of September 2022. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome you, all our viewers and listeners, to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet. And yes, this morning I'm going solo, and I want to use the opportunity to express our appreciation and thanks. I know she has transitioned into school preparation mode. Morning to you, and thank you so much for the last few weeks there in August. Natalie Seeley Richardson, thank you so much for joining us here on set. And this morning I also want to shout out and to let our viewers know, yes, in the coming days we anticipate the return after rest and relaxation. I almost said rest and reflection. We'll talk about that as well shortly. After rest and relaxation out there, Rhea Richardson George. Looking forward to having Rhea back on set with us as well here at the Tobago Updates morning show. Yes, viewers, it's been a great weekend. A number of things happening here in the Tobago space. On Saturday, on Friday, in fact, before we even get to Saturday, on Friday, we saw the activities taking place down there as we continue to commemorate the 60th anniversary celebration of the Trinidad and Tobago celebrating our independence. And on Friday, we saw a Fish Friday kind of activity happening down at the Buku Integrated Facility. And the activities incorporated a number of entertainment performances, and more importantly, these individuals who were able to provide variations in meal, including all types of fish done in different ways, curry, stew, fry, etc. I decided to taste a bit because viewers, I wanted to get that on-hand kind of experience just for you. Just for you, I wanted to get that on-hand experience. And let me say, indeed, those vendors really outdid themselves, giving a clear indication, coming together to celebrate our culture. You know, we got the music, we got the dance, and of course we got the good food in the mix as well. So Fish Friday activities that took place at Buku, we saw the likes of Sharon performing, Adana, Ding Dong was also here visiting in the mix, the voices of, and I want to take this opportunity to commend him because I've known him from so young in the field in youth development, one whom, you know, I'm very impressed with and have a lot of confidence with. MC Snoopy. All right, so I'm shouting out MC Snoopy this morning, doing a very good job down there at Buku, and the entire cast and the team there with Fish Friday activities. And then on Saturday, we went straight on in Saturday morning from 5:30 a.m. To the walk that took place red, white, and black. Again, in commemoration of our 60th anniversary Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, in the Tobago space here, and we saw those activities taking place from the Dwight York Stadium and heading straight down to the Shore Park complex. And I want to say particularly commendations because that morning started with some lightning, it started with some light rain and so on. But in the true spirit of our commitment and dedication, you saw Tobagonians coming from far and wide and turning out to ensure that they support this initiative. And I really want to say thank you and commendations. And in addition to that, we also saw the combination of the Secretary with responsibility for community development, youth development and sport, and as Pastor Terence Baines, Assemblyman Terence Baines, and we also saw the Assistant Secretary, Wayne Was Clark, certainly leading the charge at the front of the walk. And when you thought you wasn't sure if they would be able to make it right through, they made it right through the walk, man. Rain or sun, they won the entire route heading down the highway into Scarborough and arriving at the Shore Park area. And therefore, once again, we want to say commendations to all who would have come out and participated in the red, white, and black walkathon that took place here in commemoration of our 60th anniversary for Trinidad and Tobago. Viewers, at this point, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian. I am Candice Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, 5th August 2022. All but 2 schools are set to reopen this morning as primary and secondary school students begin the new school year. Repair works on the Scarborough Secondary School and the Speyside High School remain incomplete delaying the start of the new school year for those students. Meanwhile, the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Orlando Kerr, is hoping that all teachers turn up for the reopening of schools despite the call from tutor for teachers to use the day to rest and reflect. Tutor remains unsatisfied with a proposal from the Chief Personnel Officer regarding salary increases. Meanwhile, temporary access is being granted for the use of the North Side Road between the Welcome to Castara sign and the Castara Down River between the hours of 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Motorists will be able to traverse the road. Access to Castara along the North Side Road was disrupted when a portion of the roadway fell. The Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development is working on repairing the embankment and drainage along the road. They are expected to complete the repair works on Thursday, allowing the free flow of traffic along the North Side Road. And nationally, the Central Statistical Office reports that the economy of Trinidad and Tobago declined by 4% in the first quarter of 2022. According to the CSO, the decline was caused by contractions of 1.3% and 5.2% in the energy and non-energy sectors, respectively. The CSO said the decline in parts of the energy sector was offset by increases in other areas, such as the refining and extraction of natural gas. Meanwhile, there were increases reported in the non-energy sectors, such as the manufacturing and sale of food, beverage, and tobacco. And that was the news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian.
Right, yes, thank you very much there. Candice bringing us the news and updates, what's happening locally and nationally. And yes, folks, it's Monday the 5th of September, the start of the new school year. And as we head on in, just before we head across there, let me take this opportunity to recognize some birthdays on our lineup here this morning. Birthday celebrations. And who do we begin with this morning? All right, we start off with happy birthday to Mr. Anthony Parks, and this is from your wife Bernadette Parks, daughter Nicole, and son, yes, the very troublesome Anton Parks, and the rest of the entire Parks family and clan, the Scarborough Methodist Church congregation, and us here at Tobago Updates. No stranger on screen with us, he celebrates, is in birthday celebration mode, Ashworth Jack. Mr. Ashworth Jack, we wish you a very, very happy birthday. Birthday greetings going out to Macan Hislop. Macan Hislop, we want to wish you God's continued blessings and a happy birthday to you. Neve Mackenzie, some of you know him in the field, I4 Design. We want to wish you a happy birthday, Neve Mackenzie. We're sending birthday shout-outs to Glenda Rose Lane. Glenda Rose Lane, we want to wish you a happy, happy birthday. Coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. On screen with us is Cindy Daniel, and we're wishing Cindy Daniel a happy birthday this morning. The man on screen with us, Devon Nancis. So this morning we're sending birthday shout-outs to Devon Nancis. Ria Sibro, it's your day, Ria Sibro. So we're wishing you a happy, happy birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. Yes, folks, and this is the man himself, as the t-shirt says, a black, bald, and bearded. Keon Andrews. Keon Andrews, it's your time to celebrate. We want to wish you a happy birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. Nickem Scotland in the media, industry and entertainment. All right, we want to wish Nickem Scotland a happy birthday. Hyacinth Leander, and yes, the birthdays are flowing in from into the weekend, and today we want to wish Hyacinth Leander, wishing you a happy birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. Garvey Gift. All right, so we're wishing a happy birthday going out to Garvey Gift this morning. You see this combined photo, the collage here. This is Trinell Martino. Trinell Martino, we want to wish you a happy, happy birthday and God's continued blessings. And the celebrations continue. On screen with us, yes, my cousin, Reverend Olivia O'Connor Grant, wishing you a happy, happy birthday and God's continued blessings coming from the entire family. And Mrs. Joyce Moore Boris, we want to wish you a happy birthday and we trust that you have an enjoyable day, Mrs. Joyce Moore Boris. All right, and sending out birthday greetings to all those celebrating a birthday coming from the Tobago Updates family. And yes, viewers, in the lineup for my weekend, you know, as Ria would say, there's always something interesting happening in my weekend. And I went to a private activity yesterday, but I took a photo that I know they knew I was going to bring public. It's good in the Tobago space when you see the assemblyman and the senator who come from different political entities working together. In fact, they hosted at a private function last night, hosted at an event, and you know, it was really good in terms of the coming together. We see on screen with us Assemblyman Sonny Craig and Senator Lawrence Hislop. And what's very impressive for me is that they were able to put aside the politics totally and focus on the nature of the event, where there was a birthday celebration, and we sent out those birthday greetings earlier, recognizing and celebrating Shelley, and you know, sending out continued birthday blessings to her. And indeed, I said I had to get that photo out there as a good indication and a reminder even to the general public. Sometimes, you know, we take the fight beyond just elections and we are at war with each other going past the election. The elections are over and it's now time to work together. And I felt that that was a very good indication of working together in a private capacity. And I'm certain these gentlemen will also, where the need exists, to work together in a public capacity as well to get things done for the benefit of Tobago. All right, viewers, coming up this morning, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's Monday the 5th of September. It's the start of the new school term, and we have on with us this morning Councillor Orlando Kerr, Assistant Secretary for the Division of Education, Research and Technology. And this morning we're going to speak to matters of education. As I said, it's the start of the new school term. And yes, folks, he's coming on, so we had to deal with the concerns that were raised as well by Tutor over the last week, Tutor Tobago officer. So we're going to be having those discussions this morning, and we will also be chatting with Shai Abu Hakim Davis, and we're going to be speaking as the Imam and the lecture that's coming in relation to Ashton Masdrig, Birmingham, and I hope I got those pronunciations right, but we will be having those discussions happening this morning as well, as we look forward to the Tobago Updates morning show here, Monday the 5th of September 2022. And let me take this opportunity to also recognize, yes folks, this morning I'm outfitted by Checkpoint, and that's Checkpoint located at Upper Main Street in Scarborough. And remember to connect and check Checkpoint at 639-5148. All right, viewers, those of you joining us via TV, those joining us via radio, listening in, and those of you connecting with us online, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
I just want the microphone.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now 333-4430. At Mamai Lakai Home Services, we take cleaning to another level.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:17 a.m. and we welcome you to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. And this morning we have on set with us in this segment, we're beginning the conversation with Councillor Orlando Kerr, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Education, Research and Technology. Morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Julian, and good morning to Tobago and your wider listening and viewing audience. It's really a pleasure to be here. Not under the circumstances, but it's a pleasure nonetheless.
All right, so we get started and we're heading straight on in this morning. This morning, Monday the 5th of September, marks the start of the new school term. And before we even dive into the formalities with the start of the new school term, we want to begin where we would have just heard in the news an indication regarding 2 schools not being ready to be open today, Monday the 5th. So let's start from there, giving us an indication of what's the status with those 2 schools and the situation at hand, and when do we anticipate they will be opened by.
All right, but before I begin, I want to say a special good morning to the Secretary of Education, and that to indicate that she's not here this morning because we are having a new administrator at the division today, and she is going to be there to have the brief meetings and so on to bring the administrator up to speed, because there are some critical matters that must be treated with immediately. So that I want to put that on record that our secretary, I think she's going to be on a bit later this week.
So that was my next question.
Right.
But I can start there then.
Yes. Right.
The fact that, as you indicated, not seeing the secretary, does that mean that we'll definitely have a commitment to see her later on this week with updates?
She is going to be on, but we know we have to take care of business. And therefore, the secretary is basically on duty dealing with that aspect of it, because we have to bring the new administrator up to speed very quickly to treat with many of the critical issues that we have at the division presently. But to answer your question, yes, I know that the announcement was made about Scarborough Secondary, and that was due mainly to the fact that there are some structural issues there. And I know that as a Tobagonian, persons are familiar with what is happening at Scarborough Sec. And therefore, we felt that it was necessary to give the contractor an additional week to treat with those matters. And of course, the health and safety of the students and teachers must be taken into consideration. And therefore, we felt that, give the contractor the added week, ensuring that our students and teachers are safe and that they will begin school on the 12th. In terms of space side, that decision was taken late last evening when we got some information from the contractor again, some unforeseen circumstances. Seeing that today was a toss-up because, my former employer's tutor would have called for rest and reflection and so on. And there was some uncertainty around today, and it's the first day. We felt that giving them the additional day to deal with Speyside and have students come out tomorrow, that was a tough decision. We had some consultation with the principal and so on, and we spoke at length. And then we took the painful decision that we're going to have Speyside come out from tomorrow. Right, so those are the main 2 schools. However, I want to say that, given my experience with the vacation repair program, I will not be surprised if you're hearing 1 and 2 little kinks in the system today. That is to be expected. But what I can give the assurance is that the division has been working very hard. We have been working assiduously to try to ensure that our students are out today. While I was on my way here this morning, I got a sense, a really nice feeling when I passed students on the road on their way to school. And, that is what this is about, right? And, we are working very hard. We have some persons who have been working very hard around the clock to ensure that happens. And at this point, I want to especially mention MTS, because MTS was called out over the weekend. And, Julian, I want to tell you they went above and beyond the call of duty, and ensure that our secondary schools were clean and ready for today. I also want to especially mention the contractors, because it is no secret what has happened in our vacation repair program, and some of them would have started late and so on. And they too also went above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that as far as possible, our students here in Tobago can be at school today.
So, you know, and I'm glad that you went in there, because the next area I want us to get into is the school repair program in a bit more detail. We would have heard in terms of, you know, indications being put forward by the Tutor Tobago officer and others indicating that the vacation repair program, notwithstanding the vacation period was July and August, would have started mere days ago, as at the 27th of August. I think that would have been the date that he quoted specifically. I want to get some clarity and some information from the division. Tell us about the status of the school repair program, and if it really did start at that time, why so? Why so late?
Okay. All right. First of all, in relation to the statement made by the Tobago officer, I would want to deal with that when I'm dealing with the aspect of tutor. So I will go back to that at that time. But in terms of the fact that, and it's a fact that the vacation repair program did start late, not as late as was indicated by the Tobago officer, however, there were some challenges. And that is the reality. And I think that most of Tobago recognize that there were some challenges. And I want to refer, I mean, I'm new into the politics, so I have to learn from the persons who have been in the politics before me. And I distinctly remember the interview done by the minority leader after the budget presentation by the Secretary of Finance and the Chief Secretary, where the highlight was placed on the pavilion at Goodwood. And his statements were that as a politician, you have to take advice from the persons who are the experts. And then I remembered, going back a bit further, when the issue came up with Mrs. Davidson Celestine and the rope situation, the Prime Minister also said that the Secretary should not take responsibility for that. That is the responsibility of the public servant. But here we have a situation where, in that scenario, it wasn't the Secretary, but in this scenario, it is the Secretary, and the Secretary is being chastised for a situation where the Chief Accounting Officer of the division has the responsibility for the entire process, right? And that is what is unfortunate. And that is what I'm going to put squarely on the table, because we had some challenges. No secretary in any division gives approval for a contract. That is done by the Chief Accounting Officer, who is the administrator in the division. And that is where we would have had numerous challenges, right? And I'm going to put it squarely out there into the public space, right? There were many issues that arose as a result of approvals not being done, things left on desks for weeks and so on. It reached the point where the chief administrator had to step in, give instructions, and also files and so on had to be sent to the chief administrator for them to be approved. And that is the main reason why we are where we are today. Had it not been for the proactive approach of the secretary when she realized what was happening and approach the executive council for us to go into emergency mode so that we would have been able to salvage the repair program and that our students would be able to attend school today, we would have been in a serious monkey pants.
So I want you to give us a little more clarity, because based on what you're indicating, the situation that surrounds appears to be that there would have been some administrative challenges happening within the system. Now, bearing in mind, this is we're just under a year for this administration coming into office. And obviously, year after year, this is the kind of conversation we have in relation to schools. Were there any actions taken on the part of your division, staffing and otherwise, to try to, to avoid this kind of same situation happening again in 2022?
And I'm glad that you asked that question, because one of the things that we have done since we entered the division is that we would have been able to look at the processes that are engaged by the division in the various things that we have to undertake. And when we see that there are issues, we will try to remedy them. And one of the things that would have happened prior to the commencement of the vacation repair program is that we recognized that there was a shortage of staff at the PIU department. That is the project implementation unit. They are responsible for doing the scopes and so on for schools. And what was done is that immediately we would have increased the staff by 100%. In other words, there were 4 persons and the staff was increased to 8. We also, there was no QS attached to the Division of Education. And that is something that we intend to deal with permanently in short order. But what we did, we wrote to another division and had a QS assigned to our division to treat with those issues. We also recognized that there were some issues in procurement and some we beefed up the staff. So what we did, we put things in place so that the process is going to be smooth. But with everything that has to be done, everything goes back to the Chief Accounting Officer for the Chief Accounting Officer to sign off on that. So that whenever the scopes are done, whenever contracts are to be awarded and so on, who signs that? The Chief Accounting Officer. And if that is not signed off on, nothing goes forward.
So we have a clear situation here where you're indicating the challenges in the system would have ultimately affected. What I want to get a sense of from you, when we would have recognized the July period, as you said, efforts made in terms of staffing and taking those kinds of proactive decisions, at which point did the division come to the realization things are not working in the system as it should, and therefore we need the urgent intervention of the Executive Council? I noted that you mentioned the Secretary would have eventually taken that decision when she realized as much as you're trusting the system, you're trusting the process, and you're hoping that things would happen. At which point did it get to what I would call breaking point to recognize the need for the urgent intervention of the Executive Council to proceed with the works, even if there were administrative blunders or challenges along the way?
Right, so when we recognize that many of the timelines were not being reached, and there were constant excuses and so on as to why things were not being signed and so on, we recognized that we needed to do something to ensure that our schools are ready for our students. And one of the things that we had to do, we had to prioritize. We said that, okay, what we're going to do, we are going to look at those issues in those schools that are urgent and that are needed for the start of school. So that the cosmetic issues, we said that we're going to continue those later on. So we had high, medium, and low priority items within the school. And that is how we had to proceed. But even with that now, when you look at the time left to do the whole tendering process and so, we recognize that there were going to be some challenges there, and therefore we had to go into emergency mode, right? And, as I said, we were able to, under the circumstances, basically salvage the vocation repair. One of the other policy issues and policy direction that we would have taken is to bring on an artisan team. And that artisan team is going to be in the division, I think, as early as Wednesday. And that is geared towards a constant, continuous maintenance of our schools. Because one of the things that we realize is that we do not have that maintenance going on. And it's a problem throughout the THE. And I suppose it's something that as an executive we are going to address across the THE. But we have recognized that all the maintenance is just simply lumped and wait to do it during July, August. And that has not worked for us. As a matter of fact, I am trying to remember when, if ever, at the end of July, August, that things would have been ready. There has always been an issue in terms of our schools being ready during the July, August vacation. But there is a school of thought that says the definition of madness is doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. And therefore, we have decided that we are going to do something else. And so that we are going to bring on persons who will be employees of the division, who are tasked with going around to schools and treating with a lot of these maintenance issues throughout the year. So it reduces that need for this extensive vocation repair. We also said that we are going to not only undertake repairs during the July, August, but we are going to look at some repairs during the Christmas vacation and some as well in the Easter. So we're going to have those things prioritized, and those things that can be done during those periods, we will do them so that we're not going to have this scenario come another July, August vacation.
So in other words, even if we saw, this is definitely baptism by fire, because most obviously there would have been high expectations that, we would not be back in this situation. Would you say ultimately that you are facing a scenario based on what you're alluding to, and I want to get it very clear. Is it a situation that we still have, or we have in the system, technical officers playing with the politics? Is that what you are alluding to?
Let me say this, Julian. I was very disheartened, discouraged. I got a what do you call it, aha moment when I looked at some of the comments being made, and you can literally see that some persons were actually happy that our students, some of our students were not going to be out today. There were persons who savored the moment because there were issues in our school repair program. And I felt that that was very unfortunate. I felt that from the bottom of my heart because I said that notwithstanding, I know that persons will want to gain political points and so on. Nothing is wrong with that. But to be putting fake, and there was a lot of fake news out there, pictures and so on of schools that will not be ready today, adding to the anxiety of those children and parents whose children will be going out for the first time today and all of that. And, you know, it was unfortunate. And what is even more unfortunate is that there are persons within the Division of Education, officials within the Division of Education who are happy with this. There are principals who are also happy with this, who would have made themselves unavailable, not answering their phones, denied access to certain points and certain places on their compounds to ensure that there's a situation created so that they might have a case not to open schools today. And that I find unfortunate. Now, I know that what I'm saying, I might be criticized for saying it, but I have always been a person who has been fearless and who has always spoken the truth. And that is the kind of situation that we find ourselves in Tobago, where persons are willing to sacrifice our children to embarrass the secretary or embarrass the assistant secretary. But the reality is that we as Tobagonians have to do some introspection, because at the end of the day, our children, you know, those little ones, those are who matter. And when we have these kinds of situations going on where persons are going out of their way to ensure that chaos ensues, it makes you wonder, you know, what is happening in our system, right? And that is the concern that we have, right? But I want to say this, that notwithstanding all the challenges that we would have faced, there are some positives that will come out of this. Because one of the things that we are going to do, and it is something that Secretary and I have already discussed, is that we are going to do what we call a post-mortem on this thing. We're going to look at it. We're going to look to see where things went wrong, where things went awry. We are certainly not going to put ourselves in a position, as would have happened this year, where one person basically could simply derail the whole program. So that we're going to look back at it, and we want to give Tobago the assurance that something like this is going to be treated with, and we are going to put strict and stringent measures in place to ensure that we treat with these kinds of issues going forward.
All right, so we're heading straight on over into the other area, and this now treats with the relationship with tutor. We would have had the Tobago officer on, and in terms of making some very strong statements and allegations, and he indicated he was very clear to highlight his concerns with the lack of preparedness in terms of being able to get our schools ready, which you dealt with in some measure under school repairs. He spoke to the fact as well that there is serious breakdown in communication. He's unable to get on to and have the necessary follow-up with the secretary, the assistant secretary, the administrator. There are outstanding meetings to take place, etc. And I want to put you in the spot from a dual role, both as assistant secretary and also serving as a former tutor Tobago officer. Give us some clarity on what is the existing situation with the relationship with tutor, and also what are the standards and expectations in tutor?
All right, Julian, I think that this is a conversation that I had tried to avoid having, to be quite honest. And I want to start by saying this before I say what I have to say, that I still am very much involved in tutor. As recent as yesterday, I was with the tutor football team at Idlewild Sweating, and I think last week, and I'm still on the chat with the football team and so on, and you know, make contribution from time to time. I'm still very close to my friends in tutor. I have a lot of friends who are officers in tutor. I have most of my close friends are teachers. My wife is a teacher, right? So I still consider myself a teacher, and if I could have continued to be a member of tutor, I would have. Because any organization that speaks to the development of teachers and teachers' issues and so on, I would have liked to be a part of it. Unfortunately, because of my role now, I could not remain a member of tutor. so that as I speak, tutor is still close to my heart. As I said, I still interact with a lot of the officers in tutor. But I have a concern. And I am of the view that tutor presently has lost their way. And I say that because I have no qualms in the issues being highlighted, which is what tutor is supposed to do. I have no qualms with any officer of tutor fighting for the rights of teachers, fighting for better working conditions of teachers. I have no challenges with the shortcomings of the division being highlighted. And that is the role of tutor and fighting for those things. But my concern, and I've been observing for a while, tutor stands on certain principles, at least when I was there and when we had certain kind of officers. And there are two things that I remember distinctly being told as a young officer in tutor. Do not get involved in the politics, because tutor is an organization. There has been a debate in tutor as to whether we are union or whether we are professional organization. Because one of the things is that, and I would have always boasted about it, is that tutor operates different to other unions. We, well, and you see I'm saying we, that's to tell you, we were a bottom-up organization, which means that the membership will determine the way forward on matters and not the persons at the top. And therefore, when you are representing, you are representing your membership. It's not about you. It's not about how you feel. It's not about anything personal. It has always been about the membership. And I want to cite a few examples. And I'm going to talk about the most recent one first. And I felt that it was so distasteful that if the Tobago officer is coming to the media to highlight an issue, as I said, I have no challenges with that. I do not see why it is that the secretary's personal life has to be a part of that. Why it is that it has to be mentioned that the secretary is only zessing. What is the need for that? And as I said, tutor has always been an organization that operates in a professional manner. And therefore, we would have always highlighted the issues and stayed away from personal attacks and so on. The other trend that I noticed happening was a lot of mention in terms of the politics. So that I can cite an interview that was done at Scarborough, and the utterance of the Tobago officer, this is not a change, it's an exchange, suggesting that, well, things more or less the same or worse. And then we had the situation of when we had that spat with the Pentecostal Light and Life Board, right? And the SS3 came out and we did an interview and we spoke about what are the legal arrangements and so on that are supposed to happen with a board school, right? Not that we decided that was written someplace and the SS3 wrote, spoke to that. And the Tobago officer was on record saying that the division, we are dishonest and we're not telling the truth, right? And I was like, but how could you make a statement like that without all the information? You need to get the information. And the board subsequently met with us and literally admitted that they fell long on some of the things because of the pandemic and so on. But my concern was that this is, you are not representing yourself. And when you go there and you make these kinds of statements, you are representing the association. Is it that the association, is it that is the association position? And then we spoke to, again, I have been following, we had to give the maxi taxi drivers a little grant because many of them, the maxi taxis were down and so on. Now that would have sparked a lot of debate in Tobago, by the way, right? But I understand how it goes now with the social media and everybody knows everything and so on. But the reality is that a lot of those maxi taxi drivers, they couldn't work. There was no tourism. The maxis were down. The insurance for maxi taxis must be upwards of $30,000, $25,000. Some of them needed repairs. And if we wanted our students to go to school safely and so on, we as an executive felt that we needed to give the industry a little, you know, something to boost it up so that this September, everything will be well with the maxi taxi and so on. That was spoken to. I remember the Tobago officer saying that he don't understand how we giving maxi taxi driver grant and it had this to do and that to do in schools. And I was approached by one of the persons at the Maxi Taxi Association and asked, is it that tutor is against us getting this? And I said, I really wouldn't know. So was that a tutor position, right? So I am, concerned about some of the utterances that are being made, right? Whether it is that, is it a Tobago position? As far as I'm aware, there is no Tobago tutor and Trinidad tutor, there is one tutor. And therefore, the position that you expose as a Tobago officer has to be a position of tutor, has to be a position of the teachers. It cannot be your position.
So you feel like it has become a personal kind of attack. But we have just a few seconds in order to wrap. What I want you to bring some clarity to as well. There were pronouncements made by the Tobago officer, and very specific at that in terms of labeling allegations of not having meetings. What's the situation with that? From your understanding, having served both a tutor and now within the assembly, what is the standard?
All right, let me just clear the air very, very quickly. Now, meetings with the secretary are policy meetings. And as far as I am aware, when I was Tobago officer, you will meet with the secretary on average once per term, right? And if there's a need for a meeting that deals with some real serious policy issue, then there may be a follow-up meeting, right? There are meetings with the division once per month with the administrator of the division. You have HR at those meetings, student support services, school supervision, curriculum, PIU, accounts, procurement. Those meetings are there to treat with the operational issues, right? So that it is not that every single time the association, I'm going to use it, the association wants a meeting with the secretary to deal with an operational issue, that the secretary is available. And that is the reality. Because when you have the meeting with the administrator, if there are things that must be brought to the attention of the secretary, the administrator is going to do that, right?
So the administrator, as far as you're aware, has been facilitating those meetings?
I am aware that there has been challenge with one meeting in, I think it was July. And the Tobago officer had brought it to my attention. I did speak to the administrator and I said to her that, they need to meet. I didn't follow up to find out if they had that meeting. But I'm saying that I am aware that there has been meetings, and the meetings are usually with the administrator monthly to bring clarity to issues, to bring updates and so on. And then the meetings with the secretary, as I said, are usually meetings that are supposed to be of policy issues, and those meetings happen once per term, or if needed, if it's serious enough, maybe more than once.
All right. So in our final 30 seconds here, and I'm getting that cue in terms of going forward. Just let us know, today's Monday the 5th, we have the nationwide situation in terms of tutor taking a position in relation to over the, I think it is the 6-year span, 4% being offered. What's your take on that situation? Because you're in a kind of toss-up. I know it may not be the THA determining these by virtue of CPO, but at the end of the day, it's still a concern for tutor in terms of the response. And what kind of impact do you anticipate in the Tobago space, particularly today?
Julian, you're attempting to put me on the spot because, what I can say is that the association has to do what the association has to do. And the division and the ministry has to do what they have to do. So that, I am, for my role now, I am hoping that teachers will turn out to school today. And I have to take that position because there's a greater responsibility now where we have to ensure that our students are supervised and our students are getting what they went to school for. But I understand why the association is doing what it is doing, and I'm saying I am not against the association for taking their position, but as Assistant Secretary of Education, my position will be that I would like teachers to be at school today, to have our students, those who are nervous and so on, coming in for the first time, to be there to greet them and to have them oriented and so on into the school. So my position is that there should be school today. Julian.
Right. Thank you very much there, Councillor Orlando Kerr, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Education, Research and Technology. And in case you missed it earlier up, because I see a number of questions coming in on the live in terms of where is the Secretary, the Assistant Secretary would have indicated that the commitment was given that the both would appear, the Assistant Secretary appearing today in the first instance to speak to some of these issues as the Secretary treats with matters with a new administrator being in the division from today. within the Division of Education, Research and Technology. And we also got a commitment. The Secretary will be on later on in this week to be able to speak to further issues and to provide updates as it relates to matters of education here in the Tobago space. So thank you very much again, Assistant Secretary Orlando Kerr, for joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Viewers, at this point, we prepare to head on out for a break, and we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Take the mask off your face and look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning, morning. Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's 7:49 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. In this segment, viewers, we are chatting with Abu Hakim Bilal Davis. I got that right? Right. And we are speaking in relation to the upcoming lecture that's currently in progress. Morning, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we're going to head straight on in this morning. Tell us a little bit about Abu Hakim Bilal Davis, because I know over the time period we have had a number of persons representing and coming to the Tobago space, and we welcome each and every one of you enjoying the Tobago space here. Tell us a little bit about your background and involvement in the faith.
As far as myself is concerned, then I was born in the UK of Jamaican parents. During about the year 91, 92, I embraced the religion of Islam. Prior to that, I had a bit of a bad background. I was fantastic in terms of education. And then, as many of the youth in England do, you know, we got involved in some of the bad traits, guns and gangs and what have you. I was for a short period, and then I was guided, as far as the religion is concerned, towards embracing and towards practicing Islam, and that took me away from all of those affairs. I went on there on after to study in the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia, and I was there for 10 years, a 10-year period. So I benefited a lot from there. I've come back, and since I lecture and give the sermons and what have you in our local mosque.
So tell us more specifically now about this period here in the Tobago space, where you're here giving back once again in terms of the lectures that are taking place. What's the focus of these lectures this time around?
The focus of the lectures in this series is a study of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. We can't do it justice in these few days, so what we decided to do was to summarize the life of the Prophet in a number of years, or over the years of his prophethood. Because of the fact, likewise, that my area of specialism when I was in the Islamic University was the study of hadith, which is prophetic literature So we have tried to gather as best as possible the authentic narrations about the life of the Prophet from the time that he was born up until the time that he passed away, and then from the time that he was made a prophet and the 23 years of his prophethood.
All right. So tell me something. When you set out with these lectures and so on, is it open only to persons who belong to the faith, or you are happy to welcome new persons who may have that interest?
Most definitely. No, we always, I mean, that, to be honest with you, alongside our goal of educating the Muslims generally, another one of our goals is to educate the non-Muslims, and of course, as is the case with any proponent of any religion, the hope and desire that they will be interested and guided to the path of the Messenger Muhammad, which is nothing but a continuation of the path of the prophets and the messengers of the past. So non-Muslims are welcome, very welcome to the lecture, and our brothers at the mosque there in Crown Point, you know, they're very, very welcoming, good hosts. They've hosted us fantastically so far. So I do invite any non-Muslim who's interested to come and listen, to take some time out, even one of the evenings, and just come and take a look.
So remind us the period over which it will be taking place and the times
Right.
for persons who would have an interest.
In attending. So we have it nightly in Masjid Ibn Abbas in Crown Point, and we begin from 8 o'clock, and we usually go on till about 9:15. That is the lecture along with questions and answers, and that is nightly up until Wednesday. Up until coming Wednesday.
Right, so it's taking place nightly up until Wednesday, and I know we will be doing some lives happening from the Tobago updates as well in terms of the coverage. Now, as you mentioned, the focus is who is Muhammad and why is Islam the fastest growing religion in the world. All right, so I'm asking you to give me a summary of one of the focal points when you speak to the significance of who is Muhammad.
One of the problems that we face as Muslims is that which exists from the misconceptions about the Prophet Muhammad, who he was, where he existed, and what he was calling to. The one who looks into the life of the Prophet Muhammad will see that, in essence, he's the continuation of the prophets and messengers that were sent of the past, and he is, in the Muslim belief, and for the one who studies the Bible even, he is the one that has been prophesied will come towards the end of time. And so he was born in the Arabian Peninsula. He's from the offsprings of Ismail, the son of Abraham. And it was the fact that he's from the offsprings of Abraham that his call resembled and is the same as the prophets and messengers that came from Abraham. Likewise, the previous prophets and messengers, whether we're talking about Ismail, Ishaq, Yaqub, Jacob, John the Baptist, Jesus, all of them. And we believe that Jesus was a prophet that was a continuation of the previous prophets and messengers. So he was a messenger that was sent towards the end of time, a messenger that had nothing but the call of the previous prophets and messengers that came before. And we believe that he is the one that is prophesied in the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah 42:11, there is the mention of a prophet that will come to the people of Kedar. The people of Kedar, even biblical scholars will accept and believe that it is Saudi Arabia, and that he will come to sing a new song. And the verses are present. And that the people of Salah should rejoice. Salah was a mountain in the region of Medina. I used to live in Medina. I used to live literally 5 minutes away from Salah when I was there. It is a well-known mountain in Medina. And so the biblical scripture in Isaiah mentions that the people of Salah should rejoice and sing a new song for the coming of this prophet that will come. And likewise, we believe that he is the one that is the comforter that is mentioned in the Bible. Though many believe that the comforter is the Holy Spirit, but we say that the Holy Spirit could not have been the comforter. Since Jesus mentioned that the comforter will come. I have much to say to you, but when this comforter comes, he will speak of me, and he shall not speak of himself. Rather, that which he hears from the Creator, he shall convey, which indicates it's a human being, it's a man, and someone who will come to convey a message. And we believe the only one that has done that is Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him.
All right. So viewers, you're getting a taste there of why it's important to go out to get the information in terms of who is Muhammad and to be able to learn more about the faith. And this is one of the things I'm quite impressed with, because over the period of just about a year of being here with Tobago Updates, we see a regular kind of visit of persons coming in to share their knowledge and experience and so on. And that can only certainly lend to a greater sense of awareness in terms of a better understanding of the faith. Because I'm sure it is still no secret in 2022, and tell us very quickly about that, the stereotype that is still faced by persons of the Muslim faith. Is that still a major issue?
It still exists, but as you say, it is knowledge that dispels those doubts. The more people learn about Islam, the more people learn about Muslims, and ask themselves honest questions that we have been, we've had Muslim neighbors for years and they've never tried to harm us. We have been shopping with the local Muslim shopkeeper and he's always been good with us. So, there are issues and there are doubts that need dispelling about Islam and Muslims being a religion of terrorism and a religion of bloodthirsty terrorists that only want to take non-Muslim life. This is a fallacy, and of course there exists, foolish, idiotic members of any faith that walk a path of extremism, and that the faith may well be tarnished by way of. But anyone who is cultured and anyone who is educated will know that the reality of Islam and the Muslim faith is not this madness that we have seen over previous years.
All right, and we just want to remind our viewers again, just remind them of when the lecture series is taking place. They got a taste of it this morning, but just remind them in terms of those who are to come out, the time it's going to be taking place, when it's going to be taking place, and where here they can get further information.
Right, so we begin each evening at 8 o'clock, and then we have, the lecture continues for about an hour and a half maximum. That is each night in Crown Point Masjid Ibn Abbas. And anybody who needs more information, our brothers at Skewers, Yusuf, who is well known to many of the Tobagonians.
It's probably all of Tobago by now.
The whole of Tobago. So any information that you need, you can get it at the brothers from Skewers. They'll give you information on that. But that is every night up until Wednesday.
All right. Viewers, at this point, we take a quick pause as we head on over to Tobago Notes.
Everybody set up. Release it. Chop up. Release it. Chop up. Release it. Chop up. Release it.
Ritual, revelry, release. Tobago's Carnival 2022 has been launched, and it promises to be electrifying as traditional meets contemporary.
It is time for centering, as it were, to affirm our magnetism in the form of a unique carnival expression. It is indeed our time to center ourselves and declare our identifiably Tobagonian stamp on the global calendar of festival events. The October Carnival festivities will reveal hidden treasures of our cultural soul and reshape the carnival experience as we know it. It will birth a new experience and a unique tourism product.
Receive of mind gathered. Release.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to
Welcome
place.
back to the Tobago Updates morning show as we continue the conversation with Hakeem Bilal Davis. And, we were just chatting about in terms of giving a taste of who is Muhammad. And I want to get in very quickly. Why do you believe the Islam faith is one of the fastest growing religions in the world?
I can definitely say, speaking from my own experience, that one of the things that most people who embrace Islam find attractive about Islam and recognize is from the true characteristics of any true religion is that Islam speaks to and addresses the fitrah of the innate nature of the human being. And the innate nature is we believe Allah has created mankind to incline towards worshipping one God and to incline towards every noble character. And those characters that the previous prophets and messengers called to. From nobility with neighbors, with parents, with treatment of people who are other than ourselves, and worshipping one true God. The message revolves around the worship of the one true God. And if you look at the life of Jesus, for example, which many of us who would have been familiar with, the person who's looking into Islam will see the manifestation of the character of someone like Prophet Jesus within Islam. He used to pray, he used to fast, his mother used to adorn herself in a certain type of garment, and would practice chastity. There were certain characters that the prophets and the messengers had, and that continues to be manifest within the practice of the religion of Islam. And so it attracts anyone who's looking for true religion, And I think that's what attracted myself, and it attracts and continues to attract many of the young and old outside of whether here non-practices of the religion here in Tobago, in Trinidad, in England, in America. People are attracted by that purity of religion, the return back to worshipping one God alone, not deifying and raising the station of any of the prophets and the messengers above them being a prophet and messenger, not turning anyone into God, worshipping the one creator, practicing and carrying out acts of righteousness, actually doing those things though, and not just lip service, but actually practicing. So praying 5 times a day, this is actual practice. Fasting in Ramadan for a month, this is actual practice. And the practice of the religion purifies and brings about that purity and closeness to the Creator. And so it is that purity of religion really that attracts most people.
All right, excellent. And again, just before we wrap this morning's interview, I want to remind our viewers about the details. The lecture series continues into next week.
That's right.
Next week, Wednesday.
Next week, Wednesday.
Good.
Yes, yeah.
And it takes place, just remind them again where it takes place and the times.
Masjid Ibn Abbas in Crown Point, and we start 8 o'clock in the evening, and we go on to about 9:15 usually.
All right. So folks, you have the information there coming to you. A reminder again, sessions take place on the evenings, just about 8 o'clock. And goes on. Good opportunity for education and information and to gain some more insight. And we've heard it here this morning. It's not only limited to persons of the Muslim faith. There's an opportunity for you to come and learn, come to hear about the information and get the information firsthand. Sometimes we only rely based on what we hear of the faith, and we only rely on, we see the bad press that comes at times. And there's a quick recognition when you're in the international space. From the time you hold association to the faith, you're quick to hear the association of a Muslim in relation to. So here is positive news, positive information, the education coming out there, and this is your opportunity to benefit from that right here in the Tobago space. And therefore we look forward to this coming up, this lecture series that will be taking place, and encourage persons go and benefit from the information that is available. It's open to all. All right, thank you very much again for joining us on set here this morning. And I trust that Yusuf and the team will ensure that you have some time to also enjoy Tobago.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
All right, then, excellent. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for the continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show. Those of you joining us via Gael, those joining us via MNE TV, those listeners on Smash Radio and Street 91.9 FM, and to each and every one of you connecting with us via social media. Thank you so much for the continued love and support, folks. This has been the Tobago Updates morning show, Monday, the 5th of September. We'll be back again on Tuesday morning, but don't run off just yet. The morning show is ending, but we're heading straight on over to GMT Good Morning Tobago with Candice. Bye-bye.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago.
Yeah, hey, Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying Tobago.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds. All but 2 schools are set to reopen this morning as primary and secondary school students begin the new school year. Repair works on the Scarborough Secondary School and the Speyside High School remain incomplete, delaying the start of the new school year for those students. Meanwhile, the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Orlando Kerr, is hoping that all teachers turn up for the reopening of schools despite the call from Tutor for teachers to use the day to rest and reflect. Tutor remains unsatisfied with a proposal from the Chief Personnel Officer regarding salary increases. Meanwhile, temporary access is being granted for the use of the North Side Road between the Welcome to Castara sign and the Castara Down River during the hours of 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Motorists will be able to traverse the road. Access to Castara along the North Side Road was disrupted when a portion of the roadway fell. The Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development is working on repairing the embankment and drainage along the road. They are expected to complete the repair works by Thursday, allowing the free flow of traffic along the North Side Road. And nationally, the Central Statistical Office reported that the economy of Trinidad and Tobago declined by 4% in the first quarter of 2022. According to the CSO, the decline was caused by contractions of 1.3% and 5.2% in the energy and non-energy industries, respectively. The CSO said the decline in parts of the energy sector was offset by increases in other areas such as refining and extraction of natural gas. Meanwhile, there were increases reported in the non-energy sector, such as manufacturing and the sale of food, beverage, and tobacco. And that was your news in 90 seconds. And you know, as we started off with our news, we were stating a little bit that today, Tutor has called for today to be a day of rest and reflection. Of course, it's the first day of school. So I know that a lot of parents out there are wondering what's going on. If they haven't sent their children out to school yet, well, it means that they're probably keeping them away because of this call from tutor to rest and reflect. So to understand a little bit more about this and why is tutor calling for this, we have Miss Antonia Tiquita de Freitas, who is the president of Tutor, and she's on the line with us. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Candice. Good morning to your viewers and listeners. Antonia Tika de Freitas is the name.
All right, great. Now, so let's get into this whole thing of rest and reflect. Now, Tutor is not satisfied with the offer made by the CPU. First of all, I just would like you to, just shed some light on what's going on with those negotiations. What was the proposal that you guys were making, and what did the CPO offer you guys?
So I want to go back very quickly to 2015 when Tutor submitted proposals for this salary proposals for this current period under negotiation 2014 to 2017. We did not hear from the CPO until about 2020 when the CPO agreed, well, okay, we are going to embark upon the process again of utilizing the market survey approach for our negotiation methodology. Tutor does not negotiate using percentage increases. Very quickly, the market survey approach, Candice, is that if, for example, your job has particular skills and qualification requirements, and we look at the job of a teacher in a particular category in our system with similar skills and qualifications and requirements, what we want to do is close the gap, especially when the market shows that your job pays more than what the job of the teacher pays. That closure of the gap is what we would be looking for in terms of compensation. Tutor's not asking in this instance for full closure of the gap between what the market has shown to be worthy of compensation for teachers and teachers themselves. We are asking for a portion of that. We only had the CPO engage us in 2021, became discussion in 2021. And as we've progressed to date, what we've realized is that, one, there was an almost deliberate attempt by the state to move away unilaterally, move away from that agreed market survey methodology and to impose that 4% increase that is being given to other public sector unions. What that means is that, one, the CPO has not been negotiating in good faith, and that is indeed a rather disrespectful premise because you cannot simply break an agreement just like that. Additionally, the actual 4% that is being offered, we have to remember that the CPO, the state is offering that over 6 years, not our 3-year period. So that's actually 002, a 2% increase for the 2017 year. And then they're tying that as well to 17 to 20 negotiations, again, 002. What that amounts to in dollars and cents is that the retirees for the period during the first instance would get either $150 or less before tax or nothing at all. The teachers in the different sectors would get just about $200 before tax if that offer were to be accepted by Tutor and were to be placed and imposed outside of what the market survey methodology utilizes, which will give us a whole different set of figures and values for compensation. So Tutor has said, no, we are not going to accept that. We are mindful that, like every other worker in our country, there is an employee-employer relationship. And so the day of rest and reflection is to demonstrate, listen, our members who have spoken through the General Council, and now that's speaking through the President. The President doesn't get up one morning and say, I had a vision to do a rest and reflect. That's the membership speaking. Our members are saying enough is enough. We've said two things to the CPO. One, you need to think outside of the box as to how you will compensate our education professionals and really and truly recognize their value. Two, we are still willing to meet and discuss. We are still willing to engage in negotiations once there is provided for us a more acceptable offer, and offer in keeping with the market survey approach that we have already agreed to and identified. What we recognize is that there is not necessarily a willingness to invest in education as a driver of national development, as we've seen in the Nordic countries, as we've seen in Germany, as we've seen in Singapore, etc., etc. And we love to reference education sectors in these countries, but we don't always take the best practices. I would want to hasten to add quickly, Candice, that whilst it's the first day of engagement for students, teachers reported to work on Thursday. Whilst the first day of engagement for students, there are so many situations that impact on that relationship between teacher environment, teacher working environment, and student learning environment. We have to signal, listen, this is something that has to be done. We know not everybody will agree with us, Candice, or see our perspective. They might see it's only about money, but it's also about valuing what we do. Because we know that during the vacation, even in Tobago, there were many educators who, outside of the program offered by the division to assist students who did not score properly in the SCA assessment, as it were, who sought to assist students at different levels over this 8-week period. So there was no vacation for many, many of us. We worked straight through this period trying to make up for all of the things that these students would have lost and to assist them as far as we humanly could. So that this one day that we're taking the action, it's just one day. And we have ways and means of dealing with that as well.
And of course, I mean, we know that teachers, the work isn't just between 8 to 3, and that's a misconception that we have throughout. That,
Indeed.
you know, the teachers are only there from 8 to 3, and that's all the work that they do. But their work actually extends way beyond that, especially during the vacation period to prepare for the new school term. Now, you said that the CPO normally is supposed to, you know, to do the negotiations based on the market value or the market share.
Yes.
Is this the first time that the CPO has made a proposal of a static percent increase, or has that been done before?
That would have been done prior to the acceptance of the agreement that we would utilize the market survey approach. It's the first time since we're using the market survey methodology that the state has sought to impose this percentage proposal on our negotiations. And that is not something that should be done. If you're negotiating in good faith and goodwill and looking to really come to solutions, you can't be simply imposing. Then it's not a negotiation, it's just an imposition. And that's one of the other reasons we believe it's important to send this message and withhold our services for one day.
And there's also the concept or the perception among the population that, you know, resting and reflecting on the first day at school is going to affect the education of our students. And I would just like you to address that statement that's been thrown around out there.
Because now, during the pandemic, for 2.5 years, there were many students who flourished and who you know, they really succeeded because of the online engagement. There were students who did not. So as I said earlier, our teachers have been trying to make up the lost ground in preparation for September reopening. Are we saying then that one day, that first day when there's usually orientation and finding your spaces and understanding the nature of, getting to understand the nature of the school, are we saying then that that one day is going to make and break the student and add significantly to challenges and learning loss that students have faced? How are we going to measure that? How is the public or persons going to measure that saying? That's not something that's feasible. That's a moot point. Because at the end of the day, we have school and we have classes continuing every other day for the term, once there is no other break based on school conditions or weather or whatever it is. And our educators know what they have to do and they've been accustomed to making up time. You know, it's funny because when a child stays away from school for whatever reason, not necessarily illness, there is the expectation that the educator will focus on that child or those children and make up for what the child missed. So how is it different from today? You know, in an interview a while ago, Candice, I had to correct the perception that now that schools are open, parents can deposit the children and go their way. go to work or whatever other activity. And somebody else took umbrage to the fact that the president said we are seen at times as glorified babysitters. So what we need to do is engage nationally in discussions and talk about the hard things, try to clear up the misconceptions and the wrong perceptions. We care for our students, we go above and beyond, as you said, outside of hours. It doesn't mean that I have to sacrifice my children all of the time to deal with other children, because my families and my children are struggling because I can't provide for them the way I need to, because I can't devote what is required for their welfare as I need to. And so to withhold our services in that employer-employee relationship, to urge the state, think outside of the box as to how you're going to compensate educators. Look at different mechanisms. Do what is right in terms of the negotiation process. We believe that is a message. The members believe that's a message that needs to be sent. Today is the day they have decided upon.
And there's also that misconception out there that this whole rest and reflect scenario, because it happens ever so often, is all about money. And, you know, when the truth and fact is that it's more than money. It's about ensuring that teachers are like properly compensated or are equipped to continue being those educators that we so need in our society.
You are absolutely correct, Candice. You know, tutor has for many years made the saying, the working condition of the educator is the learning condition of the student. And that's not just money alone in terms of money into the education professional's pocket or bank account, but also in terms of resources provided. Because if I know I have a class of students who require certain things for them to maximize their potential, and I, as the educator in the classroom, have to be continuously dipping into my pocket to fund the resources for these students rather than having the resources provided by the state. Pretty soon I won't be able to do that. And then there will be the hue and cry, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do in the way that I'm supposed to do it. But the reality is I'm not being provided with what is necessary. We heard, for example, that there are only 2 schools on the island of Tobago that may not necessarily be opening today. However, our reports over the last few days has been that there are a number of schools that have had challenges, and Trinidad as well, that have had challenges. So what we are saying is that we are willing to have our children go into schools, like I'm speaking specifically to Trinidad now, forgive me. We are willing to have our children go into schools today in unsafe conditions because the funding for school repairs was only released about 3 weeks ago. Work only started within the last week and a half, and ministry and division insisted all schools must open today. So regardless of the condition, the physical condition, and the health and safety challenges, we want to put the children in there, into that, and so that's a learning environment to say what, on the first day of school, all schools are opening, and then by tomorrow or later in the week, the sewer acts up again, or the ceiling tiles continue to fall as the case may be, or the electrical hazards have not been rectified. We have to pay attention as a society to the investment in education and the contribution of education to national development. It's not just about getting the money to fix schools. It's not just about getting money to pay teachers. It's about making sure you have a holistic philosophy and approach to what we're doing. When our citizens in Tobago, on the island of Tobago, aspire for their children to reach certain heights, they do it with the understanding and with the knowledge that there will be educators to lend support to them. But at the end of the day, those educators require motivation and proper learning working conditions as well for the students to learn as well.
We know that over the past 2 years, it has not been easy for teachers, having to be forced onto online classes at the drop of a hat and, you know, adjust teaching styles and and even then adjusting from those online classes back into physical classes. It has been a challenge, and in a lot of ways, teachers had a lot more work or were burdened more over those past 2 years than previously. Now, we saw recently the Prime Minister announce that, they're preparing a package for nurses and healthcare workers who had to go above and beyond during the pandemic. Do you think that, perhaps something like that should also be considered for our teachers who did have to go beyond over the past 2 years?
Well, let me say, first of all, we recognize and we appreciate the contributions of our health personnel for what they did during the pandemic and even for what they continue to do. And this is why I said, Candice, the CPO and the state need to think outside of the box when it comes to compensating teachers and education professionals. It's not just give a percentage increase like what they're trying to impose. There are avenues that the union has put, options and suggestions the union has made and can make to the CPO to have them consider and perhaps be able to meet the requirements for satisfactory and appropriate compensation for education professionals. It just requires a little creativity and further engagement with the union.
Well, that's where we have to leave it there for today. I just want to thank you for speaking so much, speaking with us. It was a pleasure hearing from you. And we're looking forward to seeing, what happens and if, the CPO can reconsider that 4% proposal and, work in the best interest of our educators who are so important to the development of our society, especially for our children. All right, viewers, so that's it for this segment. But don't go anywhere because we have a lot more coming up for you after the break on GMT.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago. Good morning, good morning, put a smile on your
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Susurlands, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Up and hear me neighbor, 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun, we are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones.
Good morning, Tobago, and we are continuing our conversations this morning with the Acting Assistant General Manager of Emerging Services and Innovation from TSCT, and that is Mr. Keno Cox. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candice. Thank you for having me, and morning to all your viewers as well. I'm great.
All right, great. And you are here to talk about an exciting program coming on stream, and that is the launch of Parlor.
Yes, ParlorCaribbean.com. So Candice, Parlor is really TSCT's trust into e-commerce services, but more importantly, it's part of a wider suite of services that we have transformed the organization to, and that we are rolling out in due course. So Parlor was launched circa about a week ago, and we're very pleased that a number of Tobago artists and merchants were on board at our launch, and you'll see more of that coming in the coming weeks ahead as we onboard more companies to Parlor. Yeah.
Okay, and getting a little bit more into it. Now, Parlor is, like I said, is an e-commerce site, but it seems to be something like on the scale of Amazon or something like that that's being launched not just for Trinidad and Tobago, but for the Caribbean, and it is a way for local entrepreneurs to be able to sell their goods and services to the wider Caribbean and the world.
Yes, you're so right, Candice. But it's much more than e-commerce. For context, in the Caribbean and in Trinidad, especially in Tobago, we do have a number of existing e-commerce platforms, and of course, we encourage competition. We encourage companies to go online. The reality is that for any small, medium, or large enterprise, you need three core items to really scale a business and to grow. One, you need, of course, entrepreneurial endeavor, the skill, the tools, the competent persons hired and trained to not only develop products but to market them, to innovate. Yeah. The second item any company normally needs is market access. So you need access to markets, to new markets, whether it be local, regional, internationally, and you need gateways to get your goods and products out there. And the third item is the technology. You need technology partners, partners who have the right skills and the tools to get you there. So whether it's e-commerce on one side, it's e-procurement, inventory management, host of tools, broadband, data connectivity to get you going. So what Parler is really TSCT leveraging its ecosystem. And it's totally different to any other commerce platform you'll see locally, regionally, in that we provide not only the skills and the upskilling, the master classes, the what you need to rebrand and to make sure your products are fit for purpose in the international market through Parler University. So there's a separate learning management platform that we scale up entrepreneurs to develop their products to go outward to the rest of the world. Of course, through our host of software as a service products that TSCT has, internally, we also provide those tools to companies to help scale them up. So you have one partner to help you not only with your market access and your skills, but the technology tools to get you going. So it's really an ecosystem, and whether you're small, medium, or large, we have the tools and the ecosystem to get you there.
What would have inspired TSCT to be launching into such of a e-commerce site?
Simply say, we have no choice. We have a senior TSCT and our team here that develops these innovation products. That if you don't innovate, you die. Yeah. COVID has ravaged a lot of small businesses in Trinidad and Tobago and the region as well. TST is no different. We were impacted by customer calling patterns, switching from traditional voice to WhatsApp and so forth. And you have to find new ways of revenue. You have to find new ways of innovating, of changing the game, and we are no different. So our division is a division within TSCT that is focused singularly on creating new products, new services, new ways of doing business, but most importantly, ensuring that from a customer experience standpoint, these products are not only fit for purpose in Trinidad and Tobago, but for the rest of the world. So everything you see from the branding to the approach we do it, the approach we roll out, how we engage, has to be a world-class standard, and that's something very, very passionate about. Yeah. So Parler is really just one element of a wider cog in our ecosystem of new products and services that you see TST rolling out in due course.
And as part of the Parler e-commerce site, there is that special payment system. And I would just like you to explain a little bit about how does that work, and is it secure?
Of course. So there are two phases to it. The phase one, which is the now, we have a number of approaches for customers to pay on the site. Of course, you have bank transfers, you have Visa, credit cards, you have cash on delivery, and all those options are available on the site. To come, however, which we are very excited about, would be TSD's own mobile wallet. Of course, it's depending on us finally receiving our EMI license, which we've applied to our central bank for, and we're going through that process. But once we receive the license, the intent is to immediately have that additional payment platform for customers, buyers and sellers to transact business online. What it does, it just gives you, it empowers commerce in a way which really takes it to the next level. With cashless payments and ability to transfer money seamlessly between peer-to-peer or peer-to-merchant, you can really empower, local, regional commerce in a way which, isn't normally done. So we're very excited, and of course, once we reach that plateau, we of course share the news with the world, and you'll see more of that to come.
And I want to talk a little bit as well about the selection of the name. You guys chose Parler. Why did you guys choose that name?
Great question, Candice. So Parler was created solely, it's a funny story. On a personal note, I am very passionate about the Caribbean and Caribbean integration. CARICOM was formed to have that integration between territories. And one day, just thinking out loud about, what do we name a platform that would really connect the Caribbean in a way which cricket, we see right around the West Indies and we see cricket as a rallying call for us, but what really resonates. And the one thing that, for any one of us growing up, we always, we go to the Parler. The Parler is a place where, whether in Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad, you go to the corner shop and it's a trusted name. It's a place where even if you don't have money, you can get goods and you get, and trust, Lenhan, Susu, all these things are part of the Caribbean culture and identity. And Parlor was a name which we felt would resonate with anyone in the Caribbean. And so Parlor was formed, and the colors, the branding, the whole element of what you see, it's really taking the parlor, the traditional parlor, into the new digital age parlor. So this is where we have taken the branding and so forth. And what is critical for parlor is the our. The OUR at the end of parlor is our platform, our people, our products. So it's all about us as a Caribbean nation, collective nation, but more importantly for Trinidad and Tobago, being the lead for parlor, we have to show the world that we can compete with the best of them. So into that end, we have partnered with the ECCL, Export Centers Company Limited in Trinidad and Tobago, and through the development of Craft Up TT. Craft Up TT is really designed to be the real launch pad to ensure all our artisans craft. We have some fantastic, which you would have seen at the launch, artisans in Trinidad and Tobago, products for which, could go anywhere in the world. And it's really having that one common space for us to on board. And Parlor is at home for Craft Up TT. But of course, Parlor is more than craft. So we have many other small businesses that are not traditionally craft oriented, but have different parts of the sectors. And then you have medium and large enterprises who may not traditionally have an e-commerce website or space to transact business. We're home to them. So the work has not started. Of course, we took some time to really launch to make sure the site and all the security aspects of it are secure and the experience is world class. But really, the work comes now in terms of onboarding all the expressions of interest we have had in the past few weeks, and not on board merchants. So you'll see a lot of companies coming on board in very soon. And of course, we intend to come to Tobago as well physically to do some outreach with the Tobago Chamber and so forth. So we're really excited about what's to come for Parlor in Tobago as well as we lead up to Carnival in Tobago.
Okay, so now that we know all about Parlor, and this is a very exciting initiative, our businesses are already on board. So can we go to the site and see and purchase and engage with you guys?
Yes, you can. It's live. So there are products on the site that you can go and purchase, and persons are already purchasing as we speak, and goods have been delivered. What you will see really is a very incremental and large jump day by day, week by week, in terms of vendors coming on board. For context as well, we are not just placing persons on board and say ship or shop. There's a targeted approach by which customers come on board. You have to make sure your branding is correct. You have to make sure the quality of pictures are correct. The descriptions, all these things have to be tested and validated before we put you on the platform. And if you're not, no fear. We can put you through Parlor University where we upscale you and make sure that you're fit for purpose to go online. So it's a process which we take we're very clear on, and we're very passionate about how we make sure that at the end of the day, when you're on Parlor, you can say you are one of the best in the Caribbean to go to the world. So I encourage you to log on, and everyone to log on to parlorcaribbean.com and start shopping today.
How can entrepreneurs, especially here in Tobago, get connected with Parlor?
Very easy. Just go on to log on to www.parlorcaribbean.com, and there's a link called How to Become a Seller. You click there and you just fill out all the details on the site, and our team will contact you and provide all the support you need to get you on board.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Cox, for being on with us. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and we were excited to see about this new development.
Thank you. Very excited as well. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Great. All right, great. Well, viewers, don't go anywhere. We have a lot more coming up for you after the break. So see you soon.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Come let we go, come let we go, come let we go to sweet Tobago. Come let we go, come till you know, come find your soul in sweet Tobago.
People strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun, we are beaches, we
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and joining us is Mr. Hanif Benjamin. Of course, he's no stranger to us. He is a clinical therapist and a clinical traumatologist. A special good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
I am well. Thank you for having me in my car, no doubt, parked up at the wonderful ANR airport, but I am here with you, no less.
We are happy you can join us in whatever form that you can. All right, so getting into the conversation this morning now, I mean, today is the first day of school, and we have a lot of children heading out. And I mean, you know, it's going to be an adjustment for many, many children getting out there back into the swing of things after 2 years of a pandemic. Now, I mean, you know, what are some of your experiences, or what are some of the conversations that you've been having with children or with parents as to getting the children adjusted to going back into school?
Well, I don't know how many students are actually going to school today, because it is my understanding that they are resting and relaxing today after 2+ years of what we have been in. And so that in and of itself, Candice, lends to a very difficult day in that the anxiety level of our student as they transition is normally something that we must all contend with as clinician, teachers, parents, because we are now going into the new. But what makes this situation even more difficult is that our children would have been home for 2+ years. And for many of our students, today would have been the very first day that they are visiting physically a school that they would have either passed for or sent it to, whatever the situation is. And so, of course, that was taken away from them because nobody really thinks about our children the way they ought to. So, unfortunately, that was taken away from them. But more importantly, we must pay attention to the last 2+ years and what that would have done to our children, to our parents, and also to our teachers. And collectively, we must begin to put things in place to deal with, in a strategic way, the mental health and well-being of all the people involved. But because nobody speaks for the children, I will do so today. Because you would notice that every other facet, whether it is the teachers, the principals, they have spokesperson who speak for them, but nobody really speaks for our children. Because nobody's taking time to understand the trauma that our children would have gone through for the past 2 years, where for some children they had no devices, for others they had devices but no connectivity, for others they had nobody to help them through the schoolwork. And so we have so many varying levels of student. And of course we saw that in the SEA result, the CXC, I am certain, result was also show the same thing, where most of our students struggled immensely to make it across the finish line. time. And so now we are going back into real life, and we need to take a different approach to dealing with the anxiety, the trauma that is the reality of where we are.
And I've been speaking with some of those NGOs that have been working with children, and they are reporting that even our literacy levels among children is very, very low. I mean, because there were a lot of children that were in fact left behind. I think only now we're going to be seeing some of these things popping up within our school system now that everybody is back in full force. Well, maybe not today, but certainly from tomorrow. And how should we begin to deal with some of these issues that are popping up? Especially, well, I mean, of course, you have the academic stuff there, but then there's also that ability to have that confidence to be able to do the work, because that's also lacking right now amongst our children.
You are quite correct, and the point you made there about the academic level is a travesty, because one of the things that I've been calling for, and I called on this station here as well, is the fact that we should have been doing a psychosocial assessment to determine the mental health level of our children. We should have already been doing this assessment to put children in the best way possible for this term, for this new school year. That wasn't done, and all intent and purpose, it seems as if the only assessment that we're going to be doing is academic assessment, which really does not help. Because when you look at all these, how much thousands of students who did not so well in the SCA, we rush to do an academic type of assessment one, and or whatever they did over the vacation period. But nobody's taking into account that a large percentage of those students would have fell below the line, not because of academia, but because of mental and psychosocial issues. And if we are to move forward, if a school is to move forward in a real way, where there is an amalgamation of students who were left behind, students who never had anything, students who excel because their parents could have afforded the best lessons and stuff, now everybody's in the same class. We need to do a psychosocial assessment. From that assessment, pull out the students who need the different levels of help and help them along that line. Because too often our students, and this is where it gets tricky, too often our students are going to be left behind even further, because the school is so hell-bent on passing the exams that they're going to leave the students who were left behind. And that continues to be a major and critical component that we are not paying attention to.
And not only that, we have all these students coming together in one class, and there's only one teacher to try to deal with the various levels of, the mental capacity of our students. And there is no support for teachers in a lot of cases.
I agree. And while I agree, I think the teachers have the capacity to get the support. It's our children who do not have the capacity to get the support. But the first line of defense, Candice, is by being able to identify. If the only assessment we're doing is whether you could count or whether you could read, then we have failed our students. If we are able to do the psychosocial assessments in a real way and understand where the students are at, and then put plans in place to treat with that, then we are going to see a very different classroom. You have to remember that it was both the teacher and the student who went through a tumultuous 2 years. And therefore, things have to be put in place for both the children and the student. As a matter of fact, I am calling on this new academic year 2022-2023 to be called a year of mental health and wellness. I am challenging the Ministry of Education, the Division of Education, to take on a mental health and wellness approach for all students, all teachers, all system, because they have been through an enormous amount of pressure over the last many years. Teachers were asked to do things that they were not originally intended to do. Teachers were not hired to be online lecturers or teachers, but yet they had to change their modality. They had to change their living rooms into schools. They had to put out their own financial resources, and I commend the teachers for doing that. right? And so now it is incumbent on the people who lead to ensure that our teachers are given the level of support that they need in order to do what they have to do. And therefore, I am calling on this academic year to be called a year for mental health and wellness so that our teachers can get the mental health, our students can get the mental health treatment that they need. That is the only way. This year, Candice, is a mute year for me. This year, we are trying to recalibrate behavior. We are trying to recalibrate all of these things. And until we are able to do that, we are going to be spinning top in mud and we will lose a lot of our students in the process.
I mean, I think we already are losing some of them. Some of them are certainly falling behind. But Mr. Benjamin, if we do not take those steps and if we do not try to like recalibrate, as you said, what kind of problems are we going to be faced with based on your expertise?
Behavioral challenges. We have seen the behavioral challenges and everybody was surprised, right? Because, oh God, the children behaving bad. And I can't understand how you could be in charge of education and not understand the behavioral component that is accompanied by trauma and the level of what happened over the last 2 years. We will see a continued a deterioration in behavioral component. We're going to see a lot of students losing themselves in the system, meaning they're not going to come forward from education. They are going to always be in the background. We're going to find a lot of students not performing the way they ought to perform. We're going to find a lot of frustrated teachers in a system. And when a teacher is frustrated, a class is frustrated. When a class is frustrated, a school is frustrated. And so we're going to see a continued deterioration of our education system. And unfortunately, the only one who suffers are the children who would be at the other end of the stick that is not so clean.
I mean, you mentioned something also. You said that, our children and teachers are facing trauma. Do you think that we in our society are ready to, accept that there has been trauma faced, or to be able to even just define that trauma that was faced by our students and teachers over the past 2 years?
I think I don't understand because it is very clear to all of us.
Okay, I think we just lost Mr. Benjamin. Yes, yeah, we lost Mr. Benjamin. We were getting into the heat of things. And yes, folks, I mean, we've been talking about, just our students and our teachers, just being faced. Okay, I think we have Mr. Benjamin back. Are you there with us, Mr. Benjamin?
Yes. I'm back. You hearing me now?
Right. So you were just getting into the
Awesome.
point of that trauma that our teachers and students are faced, and whether or not we as a society want to address it from that standpoint.
Correct. And one of the things that we see happening over and over is a lack of recognition that the trauma did happen. But we are seeing the fallout of the trauma. But yet we are not acknowledging that the people need help. And that is the baffling thing to me. The understanding that we need to put this rigorous level of academia on slow while we develop the mental health capacity of all the people involved. If we don't do that, we will continue to spiral. And more, we are seeing where our children are paying for that. Because at the end of the day, it is our children who will suffer at the hands of our system who is not helping.
I also want to know what us as a society can do. So, I mean, yes, we need our government to, address this from a mental health standpoint, but we also need a whole of society approach as well to support our students and our teachers. What are some of the things that NGOs or faith-based organizations can do to assist?
It starts with one, the recognition. And in the recognition, we must also understand that we must allow our children the space to express how they feel. Too often our children are suffering and we are not allowing them the space to say how they feel, to express what is hurting, how it is hurting. And therefore, to start the process, we must allow our children to express that. I feel unwell. right? Somehow it's only the adult thing that they can feel unwell and take sick leave. And our children can't take sick leave. Our children can't take day off. And so it is important for all of us to allow our children to speak, create programs. And this is something that baffles me again. These 5 days program, create sustainable programs in our church, Mandy Mosque, in our school system that will address the mental health and well-being of our students. Sustained long-term program that is going to work with a child as they develop. These are tumultuous times for our children, and we need to put things in place. And so it is important for us to continue the development, but we, the adult, must put those things in place. Are we doing enough outside of math and English and to ensure that you get a 1-hour distinction or pass for a prestige school? Are we doing enough to say to our children, we don't only care about academia, but we care about your mental well-being? And I keep making the point, Candice, that we cannot have a successful life with a broken mind. And if our minds are broken, whether a teacher or a student, we can't move forward, because you cannot learn, you cannot excel if your mind is not at ease. And so we need to spend the time now getting our student mind at ease, helping our teachers through this threshold so that they can excel. We want our teachers to be optimum in the classroom. We want our students to be not just for academia, but an all-round student. I am also calling on having a full and robust after-school life. We have monument as school buildings. One of the things I did when I work in the United States is manage an after-school program. And the students who are in the after-school program, and the research will bear me out, excel exceptionally in life. But we have these beautiful buildings that shut down at 2:33. Why aren't we having a director of after-school programs and after-school activities that is robust and can help and aid our students in the all-round development? That is where we are. That is what we should be trying to achieve as we move forward in this new way of school.
All right. Well, Mr. Benjamin, I mean, you made some very salient points, and I'm standing with you in that call for making this year a year of mental health for our teachers and our students and even our parents, because our parents also were burdened over these past 2 years, and many parents found it difficult in trying to guide their children through these troubling times. So I mean, yes, there needs to be something to be done other than just having the school buildings ready, other than making sure that our teachers are paid. It goes beyond that, because again, trauma, there has been real trauma that has been faced by our students and teachers over the past 2 years that must not be ignored.
I agree. Thank you, Candice. Do have a wonderful week. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. God bless.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin. All right, viewers, well, we've unfortunately come to the end of our program. It was a wonderful time being with you guys on a Monday morning, as your children are getting ready to go off to school. And, I just hope that as you send your children off, then you just pay attention to the changes and pay attention to their behavioral patterns and see how best, you can come alongside. And us as a society, we also need to get on board. We all have a part to do. The government, yes, the government needs to, make sure that our children and our students and our parents and teachers, they're all taken care of. But at the same time, we as a society need to sort of band together to see how we can help each other in these troubling times. So you have a rough road ahead. But anyways, viewers, I want to thank you so much for viewing and staying with us. It was wonderful. And we'll see you again tomorrow. So have a wonderful and productive day.
No denying Tobago.